What's up, everyone? Welcome to today, a Foreigner-Filipina journey in the Philippines. Today I'm going to talk about a little something different, I should say. Before my last video was the conspiracy theory. Well, today I'm going to talk a little bit about me, a little bit about my background, where I come from, how I got here, in this wonderful, wonderful country of the Philippines. I started out in a small town in USA, in Wisconsin, little town named Radisson, a very, very small town, very small town. I think that at the time there was probably only 250 people in the whole town. So, as I was growing up there, we lived in town, and then later on we moved out to the little bit out to the country, half mile out of the country. So, growing up, everybody kind of knew everybody, you know. So when things kind of happened in town, you know, everybody kind of knew who it was, whatever, and all I ever heard the whole time growing up was, "It was the Clements boys." Well, I'm not going to deny it. I'm not going to deny it. You know, we were involved. We were involved in most of it. We weren't the only ones, but you know, whatever. The whole point is, this is kind of my story, and this is how people actually really knew me and you know, and know me now. So being in a country life, things like that, grew up, moved to a little bit bigger city, which is 5,000, which was a lot bigger city, I should say. You know, had a decent job, had a family, the whole thing, you know, but just something was missing in my life. I was happy, but yet something was missing. And then I took the whole family. We moved to Colorado, and that's when I just started moving up that corporate ladder, so to speak. But I still sensed that, you know, my life was getting better, but still missing that little bit of something in my life. And finally, one day I found out what it was. After getting divorced, I kind of started searching around, this and that, whatever, and I finally met someone from the Philippines. Decided to go there, met the person. That person, we ended up having a child together. But things weren't quite the way you'd expect them to be, the way a Philippine family should be. I'm not going to get into that. That was the past. The past is the past. Let's understand that. What brings you to the future, what brings you to the present, that's kind of a different thing, but you don't really want to talk about the past. You learn from the past. You learn from whether you make mistakes or whatever, but you learn from them. You always learn and you go forward. The thing in life that I do is I try to learn from my experiences. You know, if something happened, why did it happen? What happened? What can I do to make it better? well, anything in life. If something happens to me in life, I go, well, why did it happen to me? You know, and then you just try to stop and think about those things and put it through your mind and go, wow, why did that happen to me? And you go, oh, well, this happened. Oh, okay, well, this happened for a reason. Oh, I know the reason now. But then again, like I said, you know, things didn't go the way they, you know, that I would have wanted them to go. Moved to UK with that very same person. Again, things didn't turn out. I'm no longer with that person. But what really brought me here is the fact that I love the country. I love the Philippine people. You will never find more sociable and nicer people. Now again, everybody can say, oh, but you run across this and you run across that, whatever. Yes, I've done it. I've run across the bad. Okay? Again, we don't get into that. You learn from that, you know. But the old saying, like I've always said, is, you know, you can, you know, just because there's one bad apple on a tree doesn't make all the apples bad. So if you find, in this case here, if I found a bad Filipina, okay, get rid of that bad Filipina. That doesn't mean all Filipinos are bad, and they're not. They are not. Back in 2015, I started getting a chest infection, a really, really bad chest infection, and it seemed it got better, then it got worse, then it would stay good for about a week, and then it would get bad, and then it would be good again, and I was going to the doctor. January 2016, went into the doctor, and after listening to my boss saying, go home, go to the doctor, that's it, don't come back until you're better, she was looking out for me. Went to the doctor, and the doctor said, 2 choices. 2. 1, you either call a friend, or 2, I'm calling you a taxi. But either way, you're going to the hospital. You're not going alone. I had pneumonia. And so I decided that I'd call my friend. Very good friend of mine. Very, very good. Always been there through everything. This gets a little bit personal sometimes here, but I'll try to get through it. So anyway, I went to the hospital, and after I got into the hospital, pretty much 13, 14 hours later, I was put into an induced coma. I don't remember that, but I did send a message to my boss saying that I was going into ICU, but that's pretty much all I ever remember of anything. Okay, I was put into an induced coma because I had the swine flu, H1N1. Yes, the worst kind. Okay. Again, I don't remember any of that. But I do remember a few things while I was in the coma. We could talk about that another time. But when I came out of the coma, thought I was in a whole different country, whatever. I didn't even know where I was, and I didn't know I was in UK. I had no idea where I was, no idea what I was doing. I was scared. I was scared for my life because I had no idea what happened. Eventually I figured out what all happened. I was told that for every week, let me backtrack a little bit. I couldn't walk. I could barely move. I had to learn everything all over again. So we take things for granted so much in our life until it's gone. We get up in the morning. We get dressed. You might grab your cell phone. You might text a friend. You might call a friend. You might have a cup of coffee. You might wash your face. But until those things are taken away, you have no idea how it feels to lose those. I had to learn to do everything all over again. I had to learn to text. I had to learn to. I couldn't get dressed. I could barely pick up my hands. I could barely open my hands. My hands were stuck. I had to learn everything all over again. And then and only then do you realize the value of what you have every day. It's a massive thing to lose all that. But I survived. I survived the coma, almost dying 3 different times. At one time, my family there were told that don't expect him to survive the night. Now, after I was out of my coma and out of ICU, I went to a recovery ward for another 33 days. Okay, and I was told that for people that are in a coma for a week, 1 week, usually take a month to learn how to walk again. And I thought, I've been in a coma for 4 weeks, 31 days. That's 4 months. That's a long time. But I had plans. I had a holiday booked already. This was in February, March, first part of March, or February, first part of February, and I had my holiday booked for June, so that would have been February, March, April, May, June, 4 months. And it's like, no, I don't have 4 months. I don't have 4 months. I'm leaving this hospital one way or another to go on a holiday because it had been fully booked. Okay. They said, well, we'll see about that. And I says, yeah, we will see about that. Because it's like, yes, I'm going. I don't care if I have to sneak out of here. That's it. I'm going. Okay. But, so I started getting up and going, and they had to help me and everything else. They helped me for a while, and I just kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going and kept going. 2 weeks. I went through a walker. I went to a cane, not crutches. I bypassed it. I went from a walker to a cane, bypassed the crutches. And for the last 3 or 4 days of that 2 weeks, I was just carrying the cane around, just, I think, more of a comfort thing. Finally, the physiotherapist came in, and I go, here. Says, you done with it? And I go, yeah, I don't want it no more. I says, I just been carrying it around for the last 3 or 4 days, and I says, and I don't need it. And he looked at me and he says, I'm going to sign you. I'm going to sign you off, because he says, I know you're walking. He says, you've done like I've never seen people do, never. So that was either the stubborn American in me or the fighter in me, as well as me surviving that, coming through that coma. Now, yes, it was an induced coma, but I almost died. So that was either the fighter in me or the stubborn American in me, or both. Okay. So after that, I decided that I'm no longer going to work myself to death. I'm going to start trying to relax in life and enjoy life more, and just try to slow down a little bit. And since then, I've been in a couple of relationships that were nothing to brag about. Yes, they were Filipinos. Again, the apple thing. I'm bound to find a good apple. I'm bound to find a good apple. There's got to be one good apple on that tree. And January of 2019, it happened. I met my wife now, but I met Evelyn, and told her everything that had happened in my life, told her about all the relationships, everything, and I didn't hide it. I didn't hold anything back. I just let her know. I let her know, and she understood that, and she accepted that.